Hi everyone, and welcome to what is now episode 2 of my Minecraft survival series. Hope everyone's doing very well. Well, my name is Tree, and today's episode we continue our initial adventure in Minecraft 1.18. So you remember from the very first episode, we were able to get our crafting table, set up our original furnace, and make ourselves a bed by, hunting down some sheep. I think they were over there, if I remember rightly. Yep, just down in that little cove there. So in today's episode, we're going to be busy gathering more key resources. We'll be needing to survive, so that'll include things like food, which we can harvest and replenish. We may be able to hook ourselves with some animals today, so we'll need to see if we can do that. We'll also want to explore our surroundings, because as you can see, you've got some beautiful mountains behind us, and in the distance in front of us here, we have a jungle forest, and also down here, if you remember, there was a village. So there's quite a bit that we're going to have a little adventure around today to see what we can find and if we can get any initial resources to help us in our journey. And then what we'll do if we have time at the end is we'll start to make an early start at least to our base. Now you know me, if anyone's caught in my content before, I am a bit of a creative builder. However, in the early stages of Minecraft, you may just want to keep it simple, easy and straightforward. So this isn't going to cut it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up our resources and go on a little exploration right now to see if we can find some key initial resources. So let's now pick these up. Now I'm going to continue to use my wooden axe because I may as well. I've got it. I'm going to use it. You might notice that we do obviously use our wooden pickaxe. So I'm just going to use the wooden tools until they obviously die, and then we can just replenish more later. We will be spending an episode in the future though talking about the different durabilities, the different attack strengths, and why you'd use one tool over another. Now, I remember from episode number 1, actually, we did go down the side of this cliff and there was a couple of things that I noticed. Now, you can actually see them down there. So let's take a little trip down. Now, in the game, sugarcane is one of the more important resources that you can find on the map because this helps you with paper. Now, once you get paper, this will help you make books. And then later on in the game, we can use books to do enchanting. So we're going to keep our sugarcane here and take some of that with us. Now we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we're actually going to take all of it. Now what you can do with this is you can hit it at the top and it'll only take off one piece. Oh, nearly lost that one. Or the best thing to do is hit it at the bottom and they all fall down. So we're going to take the bottom here, take all 3, and we'll head over to this one as well and take all 3. Now the great thing with sugarcane is it does replenish over time. So if we just put the sugarcane in our inventory, you can then plant all the sugarcane next to each other and they'll then grow back up again. So as long as you put it next to a block of water, these will then replenish over time. So once we start building our base later on in the episode, we'll plant our sugarcane next to water and that'll then replenish and give us more sugarcane, which will then give us paper to help us with early books for enchanting, which we'll cover later on. One other little thing just while I'm walking over around this corner, as well as obviously using sugarcane for books, we can also use the sugarcane and paper to make fireworks. Now that is a very late game thing that we might need for when we get Elytra to fly around. More information about that will be way in the future episodes, hopefully. Once we defeat the dragon and get to the end, we'll explain exactly what all that is. However, if we get some sugarcane and we get some paper, just, if you spy it, pick it up. It will benefit you later on in the game. Or at least, remember where it is. You don't have to take it right now. You can wait till later. The other thing that I did notice over here was watermelons. Now, what we can do is if I just come across here, we can take one of those. There we go. And it creates some watermelons. So let me just take some of these over here. Lovely. I think there's one more up here, wasn't there? Yep. There we go. And we have some melon slices. So melon slices we'll be able to talk about in another future episode as well. We'll take them with us for the time being, but if I pop them into my inventory, you can see them here. They have some little tricks up their sleeve, melon slices. But again, once we come to talking about food and get everything set up in the one place, we'll talk you through how to grow watermelons, how to use them, and watch their benefits at a later stage. But again, anything like that is worth picking up just now because there will be a purpose for them later. Now, as we look around the world, we are probably going to try and identify as much as we can. Now, the one thing that you'll see here that might not be obvious is there's food potentially all around us. And it might not be too obvious to people that haven't played that often. Now what I'm talking about is grass, weirdly. What you can do is if you hit a block of grass, now not all of them, now let's go for a little trip up here and see if we can actually make one of them break. What we're looking for is seeds. Aha, there we go, we picked some up. I'm trying not pick them up, there we go. Oh no, I keep picking them up. You'll see, hopefully get an example where I can show you them on the ground. There we go, right over there. So what we can do is we could use those seeds. Now I've got some in my inventory already. These are wheat seeds. And we can grow wheat seeds to make wheat. And we can use wheat to make bread. An easy food source, very early game. If you can't find animals, like what we did in episode number 1, what my suggestion would be is also to look at getting some wheat. Now, the wheat seeds are quite difficult to come by. They're not as common as you think. They are obviously, there's grass all around us and we can just keep breaking it till we get more. And it may take a little bit of time to get some. Now, don't worry though, if you can't get a lot of these, we do normally recommend, setting up a few initially, growing some wheat, because that will then drop more wheat seeds for you to use in the future. So you don't have to get a lot of these, you just need to probably get enough. So we'll just keep going around just now, and we'll see if we can find a few more. We're currently on 7, so we'll try and get 10. We'll try and get a nice little number. There's number 8. Can we get some more? Oh, these are not giving us any. Now, you're going to be wanting to do this quite early as well, guys. Just as I have a little bit of time trying to find 9 and 10 here. They do take a little bit of time to grow. So one of the things that's definitely worth noting is if you are really hungry, these are probably going to take a bit of time. So you may have to hide it out until these grow. But do plan for that in the future. That these are not instant. There we go, and there's number 10. Now, the sun is going down. Now, this hasn't been a long one for me. I did have to record this twice in the intro, so I'm not an expert. So we'll put our bed down, we'll go to sleep, and then we'll continue our adventure going around this side. So let's just pop the bed down, hop into bed, and we'll avoid some of the mobs spawning, which will be great. Right, so we have some sugarcane, we've got some melon, and we've got some wheat. So let's now just continue our journey around this corner. Now I know there's a village over here, so I'd like to go over and take a look at that. Villages are great. If you can find a village very early on, there's going to be some potential things that you might find. Now as I'm heading across, I'll just talk about those just now. Now the first one's obviously villagers. Villagers are one of those people and NPCs within the game, so non-playable characters that we can interact with. We can trade with them and get other resources from them, from emeralds or other trading like food or wheat or things like that. There we go, some more chickens over here too. And the pigs that we saw. So definitely when it comes to, an egg, let's pick up the egg. So when it comes to villagers and villages, we want you to try and find those if you can. They are really good for early resources. Now I'm hoping I'll find carrots, potatoes, someone to trade with, and give us some additional resources. Now we did mention after the first episode that if you were to come across a village, they may have beds in them. So if you haven't found any sheep, it could be a very good way of getting an early bed. Oh, there's some more sugarcane, we'll take that. Thank you very much. We'll just head round the coast. Right there, as we're here, look. We're finding some resources. Now I'm going to put my axe back in. There we go, pickaxe. We've got some copper. Let's take that. And some coal. I don't mind if I do. I'm going to use my spade for the dirt, because it's better to do the spade with the dirt. My God, look what we've run into. Okay, this is perfect. Just before we get to the village, so we have coal for our furnace, copper, which we could use later on in the game to make a few different resources. It's not something we'll need right now. And this one. This is our first block of iron. Now, obviously right now with our tools, you see we have wooden tools and stone tools. Now, wood is level 1, let's just call it. Stone is level 2. And arguably iron could be seen as level number 3. That and gold are about that level. So here we want to try and get some of that. We'll see how many there are. I won't break it. We'll see how many there is in here. We'll take the coal first. I can see there's actually a little bit more here. Now, in a future episode, we are going to talk about ores and what to dig, or well, rather, where to dig for those. Because there are different levels that do matter and do change depending on what you want to get. So the further you go down, you're more likely to get diamonds. And up near the overworld, there's more of a chance to find things like coal. So we'll save that for a future episode and break down where you need to dig to get very specific ores and increase your chances of finding them. So here is our iron. So let's just take the first one. There's one. Little achievement, and there's number 2. So it's not enough yet to make things like a bucket or to make a spade or a sword, no, nothing like that. But it's definitely something we can keep for now and use later. And anytime you find resources like that, you'll want to pick them up. And with Minecraft 1.18, the Caves and Cliff update, there's a more of a higher chance of finding these things slightly higher up. There we go, there's some iron over there. Yeah, so there's quite a few. So we're actually going to be, I'll leave, I know they're over there, so maybe come back for them later. We're going to head over here and get to the village. Now I'm going to use swim over here. Now it doesn't look too dangerous. However, you might run out of breath and run out of air. So let's just jump in. Now when you jump into the water, you can obviously just go forward like normal. However, if you hold the control key, which would be to run, this will let you swim. And depending on the direction that you're pointing in, holding the control key will let you swim. So if I put my mouse down, we can go down. Put my mouse up, we'll go up. But as your air is going down, you can see there, your hearts are going down. So you need to be very, very careful. This is not something that you want to be spending too long in the water. You can see we're now down 4.5 hearts, and we've also lost a bit of health in regards to our food. So we're going to have to eat something. Now, luckily in the last episode, we have got food. So let's just quickly replenish and let our hearts go back to the top. So be very, very careful with the water. You will need to make sure that you keep your breathing bubbles as high as possible. And if it means coming up to the surface for a bit of air, that's what we do. We come back up to the top before we go back down again. Now, there is some techniques I've learned from speedrunning that I'll teach you in a later episode that might be able to help you in sticky situations under the water and down in caves and cliffs that you're maybe stuck. So I'll show you some of those techniques in the future. Right, but we've made it to our village. So let's take a little look around. So we've got different types of villagers. See, here's a bed. We're not going to need that because we have one. So we'll leave that for one of our villagers to sleep in. Same over here. And here, some of the villagers have different jobs. And if we go up to this village, see if he's got a job. If you right click, there we go. He's a cartographer. So you can actually trade paper for emeralds and then trade him emeralds for paper. So the great thing with this is we do have 21 sugarcane, which we could technically turn into paper to immediately start trading for some emeralds. So finding villagers like this will be really handy if you are interested. There's a cartography table. And here is our first chest. So we have some paper. So let's just gather that up and put it in our inventory. Now I'm going to be holding down the shift key. So when I click on the object by holding shift, it puts all three directly into my inventory like so. So very handy that. There's some bread. I know, look, a compass. So let's just pop the compass in our inventory. Now it's not something I personally use all that often, but you can actually tell the different direction in which you are facing. So you can see the little red arrow moving around. Now if you also press the F3 key on your keyboard, we can work out, what is north, east, south and west from the F3 information. On the left hand side, I'll just circle it and edit. But if I just face there, that is south. That's west. That is north. And that is east. So you can use the compass. It's a little bit awkward to get used to initially. However, facing this way, we are going north. So definitely, you'll maybe use it over time. It's very, very handy. I don't normally use a compass because I just use the F3 tools to be able to have a look. But you can just press F3 on the keyboard to get rid of that. So I don't often use a compass. Not usually. Right, now let's have a little look. Now, I think that was the 3 villages. We found a cartographer so far. And let's have a little look at this guy. I think, is he maybe a farmer? No, I don't think he's actually got a job, this guy. He's not got a job allocated to him, so we're not going to get anything from him today. Now, I am looking around here to see if we can find any of this sort of food resource. So let's just take this one here, because these are just wheat. So we can add that to our little wheat collection. And interestingly, over here, we do have some hay. Now, these will save you a heck of a lot of time, guys. Hay is basically all of your wheat put together in one big block. So if we take, for example, let's take the hoe and take 1 stack of hay. There it is there. Perfect. Pop that into our inventory. We can turn hay bales into 9 wheat. So these will actually give you 3 bread. So for each one of these, you'll get 3 bread. So it's 3, that's what, it'll be 6 and 9. Obviously, if you just keep going, we can take all of this and use it for ourselves to make some bread. I'll just put it in the crafting table. And what we'll do is we'll put all of the wheat into our inventory. I've lost it again. There it is there. 9, again, holding down the shift key. We'll take all of those and put them into our inventory. So we have actually 64, a full stack of wheat. And interestingly, just to show you the recipe, if we do put 1, 2, 3 wheat in to our crafting section, we get 1 bread. Now, what we can do though, is using your recipe on the left-hand side, a little bit of a trick here. If you hold down the shift key with the bread and select it, it's actually going to put in all of your wheat to make your bread. So if again I hold the shift key on the bread, it makes us all our bread. So immediately we have a really quick food source by coming to a village that you maybe didn't have before. Lovely. Right, now we need to try and get up there somehow. Now I'm thinking the water source could be the best way and quickest way to get up. There is a cave here, but I don't think we're quite ready for caves just yet. We'll maybe do that another day. We pop our head in. Yeah, we'll leave that just now. Right, let's head on up. So the best way to do this is... Oh, there's some seeds actually. What seeds have we got there? Oh, I've got melon seeds. Nice. Right, let's see if we can head up now. So the best way to do this is by holding down the space bar. Because holding down the space bar will help you go up in the water stream. I could do this. Just put my finger on the space button. Keeping it on space, we can go up all the way up to the top here. Just keep floating to the top. We do run out of oxygen with this, so just be careful. I'll take some of the seeds while we're here. And I'll probably just make my way around the side. So when we take this bit of wall out to the dirt and head up to the top. Right, here we are. So we do have some more villages and actually some more sheep over here that we could use, but we already have a bed. But the one thing I'm interested in is to show you guys a lot more of these villagers. So let's just see if we find any more with some jobs. Now, the one quick little tip, guys, you don't want to be hitting this guy. He is an iron golem. They protect the villagers from mobs, so anything like creepers or skeletons, they will attack them. However, if you hit an iron golem, well, they're going to attack you, so we probably want to be avoiding that. Now, the sun is heading down again, so we need to be very careful. Now, here's some wheat. As I said, we'll pick up the wheat, because these villagers, even though you might want to leave them for the villagers, they don't use them. They're there as a resource, so we can take them for ourselves. But the villagers don't eat them, they don't convert them into wheat, they don't convert them into bread, you know, so we can take them for ourselves. There we go. Right, now we probably need to put down our bed fairly soon, because it is getting dark. Now, I'm sure I checked both of these guys. Oh no, there's an armor guy. Yeah, so, this guy, 4 emeralds and 5 emeralds for iron boots and an iron helmet. So again, very useful for early game protection. I'm going to go to sleep real quick. So if we don't have any, we could probably use that to your advantage. Oh, we tried to steal my bed. Now, I don't have any emeralds just yet, but we could have traded the paper to get emeralds and then used that on this gentleman here. However, is there anything else around here? Oh, a little bit of a gap down there. More iron. I don't mind if I do. I'll take some free iron. And I think that is all. Now, let's have a little look in the houses. Now, I don't think we had a look in the houses, did we? I think that's just a bed in that one. I think there's a blast furnace in this one, but I don't think there's any chests in here. Nah, no chests. So we're going to go down and get the iron and then probably head up to that final house. And I think this is this village done. So basically what we want to do is anytime you see any resources, it is probably worthwhile gathering them as you're going along. There's some of them we might need, some of them maybe not. So it's really up to you and your decision whether you want to take them. If not, you can just leave them. But if you do see things like iron, I would definitely recommend picking up iron because we will need that to have our tools and some armor and really need this to help us sort of be more protected in this world. So what we're up to now is 7 raw iron. And we could do quite a few things with that. Now let's just jump over here. What we're going to do though is we're going to try and head up on top of this cliff. I'm going to use the water technique again. It's just a little bit more efficient to get from the bottom to the top. So I'll just jump into this water source here. Take a little look for more iron. There isn't any. Let's just head up. This one will be a little bit more difficult. That's okay. You can hold the space bar. Just make sure I'm in the water source. And I can just float to the top. Lovely. Right. Last little village. There's some more melons there and hay. Is there anything here? Nah, sadly not. So our village is actually quite empty. There's not too much here. I haven't seen any other villages or there's There's some llamas over there. No, I don't see anything else. Alright, so I think that's us. So let's just take the hay, because we can use that for some bread. I'm going to leave the watermelons. We're not probably going to use too many. We have some watermelon seeds which will grow in the future, which I'll happily explain to you all why we maybe use those. Right now, that is what I'm happy with. Oh, pumpkins. I could take a pumpkin. Yeah, we'll take a couple. Again, these are very handy for Enderman. So when we talk about that later on in the series as well. There we go. So we've got pumpkins, we've got watermelons, and our inventory is kind of getting full now. I'm going to replenish some food. Right. So really, at this point, it's up to you where you want to explore. The game itself is quite endless. You have the ability to run, walk, glide, and explore the world however and wherever you want. So it just really depends what you're looking for. Now, certainly in the early game, there's a few things that could help you decide where you would like to go. One of which is where you want to start building your base. So I did mention to you earlier that in this episode that we were maybe thinking about building a base somewhere. And that's one of the things you could start to look for. Like, where's a piece of land that suits your environment, you know, your build technique, depending on how you want to build, you may be able to find an area that suits you. Now, I'm actually thinking that the best place for us to build could be over here somewhere, right in the middle between sort of the village, because we're going to use the villagers later. We've got the water and everything in between. So I think we're going to maybe set up shop over here somewhere. We're just trying to find a nice little area that we can build upon, and something with a really nice backdrop as well. I like this sort of river effect around here, so we could do some really nice bridges across the terrain. But I think this is probably a really nice place to start. Now, what I would like to do is I want to head over to probably this point over here. I like this little point. I'm going to build my first little starter base here, and that gives me a really good vantage point of the water, the hills, and everything in between. So I'm going to pick that peak here. The problem for me, though, is getting there. So we'll take our time, work our way down. Now, I think I can jump from here. Now, you might think it's a little bit too high, but you can jump into water. So as long as I make a run and jump for this, I should be okay. So here we go. We made it. That was easy. Now, if you're never unsure, yes, please just take your time. Don't do that if you're not too sure. But that is definitely one of the nice and easy ways of being able to get around if there is water nearby. Now, we're going to have to try and scale our way up this mountain here, this side of this cliff. So we might have to take out some dirt to help us get up to where we need to be. And we'll work our way up slowly. There we go, and we made it. Right. So where I was thinking of building a little house here, just on this point. As we can see, up and down both ways of the river. We could probably take a lot of this out and use a boat for travel later on and make things a little bit quicker. So I'm thinking our first little starter base could be here. So let's just go into a little bit of a build. It won't be anything crazy, so hopefully I've got enough resources around me to build it. I'll hopefully turn this into a time-lapse, if I can. And you can watch me building my first little home, but be as creative as you can be, guys. You know, the first starter base that you build can do from just wood. You can use dirt, you could use stone, and you're pretty much going to use all of the resources that are around you. So let's just see how creative we can be and build it in a short space of time. I'm going to spend probably a day building my house, so I'll just quickly put down my bed, go to sleep, and then begin building our new home. Oh, it's not quite dark enough yet. Almost there. There we go. All right, it's the start of the next day, and I think it's time to set up our base and then start to harvest some crops. Now, before we do that, let's get out our crafting table, as there's a few key important things I would suggest that you do. Now, I'm going to put my bed over here. Where will we put our bed? We'll put it over here out the way. Put the bed down, we'll put our crafting table down, and we'll put our furnace down. So before we start beginning to build, I think it's probably a good idea to do some of the basics. So let's put our coal into the furnace and let's get some of our iron going. We'll do that there. So same as when you're cooking food, you just put your iron at the top, your coal at the bottom, and that'll then turn your iron into ingots. There we go. So we'll use that later. The next thing we could probably do is craft ourselves a chest. Because obviously our inventory is getting a little bit fuller now, we may want to get a chest. So there's one here. And we'll just quickly pop that down on the ground. Just next to here will be fine. And we can put some of our resources in. So in case of just dragging and dropping, things like our paper, our sugar cane, our saplings, anything we're not going to be using just now, we could probably pop into here so we can use at a later date. So I'll just put all of this in. Lovely. I'll keep a lot of my tools because we might need to use those as we go through. Keep some food, so I'll keep the steaks. And then put everything away into the inventory. Like that. There we go, that'll do. But just kind of keep things nice and clean and tidy. And you can have as many chests as you like. You can also do double chests also. I don't think I have enough wood to make another chest, but we can go grab some trees and start building our house. So, let's have a look at our ingots first. They are almost done. There we are. Oh, we got a little bit of XP from that as well. I'm just going to put the iron into here. We will speak about that before the episode is over. Right. Time for me to build my first starter base. I'll go in a time lapse and hopefully you guys will be able to see what I'm building, but this is quite subjective. Everything you build is unique to you. So hopefully this is something that you guys enjoy. And if you want me to sort of break down buildings in the future, you're more than welcome to, but I'll do this as a time lapse for now, see what the feedback is, and then we'll take it from there for future episodes for bigger builds, other farms, and designs. So I'll start a little time lapse just now, and hopefully you enjoy it. Right, so we have now moved into our house, which is looking pretty good. Oh, hello, cow. You coming to join us? Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about just a couple little things to finish in regards to harvesting. Now, I have my bucket in hand. Now, obviously, if you haven't got a bucket already, if we just nip into the house, what you'll need for a bucket is 3 iron. So I've got some iron still left over. If you haven't got a bucket already, you can go for our iron. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. And that gives us our bucket. Now I've already got one ready, which is great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bucket and I need some water. So I'm going to head down the side of the world here and grab some water. Now the reason why we need water is crops won't grow without it. So even when we start to plant our crops into the ground, they won't grow. So we're going to have to get a water source. The other thing you're going to need for this is a hoe. Now, it can be a stone hoe. It doesn't really matter. As long as you have a hoe, that will allow us to prep the land. So with a water source and a hoe, we can take our seeds that we got earlier in the episode and we can start to make ourselves some food. So I'll head back on up here. And we need to find a little bit of land to put this on. Now, I'm thinking maybe over here on the right-hand side, maybe? A bit of flat land, maybe here. Yeah, we could put our crops up on top. That means we can see them from our house. Alright, let's put this over here. Right. So one thing we can do, we can put a little hole in the ground. So just dig that out. And we can put our water source in. Let me just pick up that dirt block. Now the great thing with seeds is you can do one right click of a hole to turn the ground into an ability to sow seeds. Now once I grab my seeds, I can then, you can see the ground is actually changed because the water is absorbed into the ground. I can put my seeds in one of the each adjacent blocks. Now that's not the great thing. Obviously, say we're having to put lots of water sources in here, we can just use the one. Water will flow through dirt for up to 4 blocks in length. So if we just mark out the 4 just now, to there, 1, 2, 3, 4. The water will actually go from the middle out to here. So we can actually plant our seeds 4 blocks away, meaning that we only need one water source to do all of our seeds. There we go, perfect. Now, I'll obviously make this a little bit bigger. I'll add some around the outside of the water. There we go, like that. I could probably go a little bit bigger as well. How many seeds have we got? Go a little bit bigger again. There we go. Oh, it's getting dark. We need to be careful. There we go. And I got one more. Perfect. So we can keep that just now. And that gives us all of our seeds. Interestingly, if you want to, you can make this a little bit bigger. Then you can fill out the 4x4 space. And this gives us a massive amount of space for seeds and crops, all just using one singular water source. So that's definitely what you want to try and do in the future. Oh, we've lost our hoe. Now I'm going to nip back into my house and go to bed real quick. Because we don't want mobs getting us, but it's all about survival and we want to survive. We haven't got any light sources yet. We'll talk about that in the next episode, but we'll talk about that in a moment. There we go. So down on the right hand side there, we now have all of our seeds growing. So I'll make a little path over here in the future. But as of right now, that's our crops growing. Brilliant. So next thing I need to do is I need to go get another water source. So through the powers of editing, I will be back in a moment. And as if by magic, I have a full water bucket. Let's do our sugar cane. So with the sugar cane though, to get our paper, it's a little bit different than what you might expect. Now, as I said to you earlier, you have to put them next to water. Now, as a little bit of an example, if I put my water bucket in here and put my sugar cane around the outside, I will only be able to put them on the adjacent block to the water. Sugar cane won't work in the corners, and it won't work when it's 2 blocks away. Get rid of these. So I can put my other sugar cane there. Now, you don't have to keep getting water. Interestingly, what you can do is you can just break it down the blocks to let the water flow. And that will still allow you to place your sugar cane. And interestingly, from the point at which it flows, you can go 8 blocks of flowing water and it'll still grow sugar cane. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go, the water's still flowing. This one it won't, you can tell here that it stops, but we can now place our sugar cane on the edges. So it's definitely one way of being able to make it a little bit more efficient. You don't obviously have to put down all water buckets. As long as you have one singular water source, your sugar cane will obviously grow right next to it. So it's definitely a little bit of a tip for the future, but here we go. So I wanted to finish up on that. Quick little tips on how to put in your wheat in a most efficient way, and also with your sugar cane by only using 2 buckets of water, and that is it. Well, I think that's probably going to be us for today. I think that's a long enough episode. We went on a little exploration. We went through the village. We were able to get some wheat, melon slices, pumpkins, and we even built our first starter base, which is starting to look, I think it's looking okay. It's coming along. So we've got quite a bit to do in the next episode. So looking ahead to episode number 3, we are obviously going to look at things like glass, detailing, lighting for our house, because we need a lot of that. But we're also going to focus on animals. So you might see in the distance there is quite a lot of animals here. We've got cows, sheep, pigs. I've also seen llamas kicking around and chickens. So we're going to go round those up in the next episode to help us get replenishable food. And we're going to show you how we can get the animals to follow us. We're also going to show you how to grow them. And we're also going to take a lot of the resources from them as well, like wool, milk, leather, and so on. We're going to see how we can use all of those. So excited for episode number 3. So until then, I hope you've enjoyed episode number 2. Again, like before, if you leave any comments down below, it would be greatly appreciated. Like the video, which supports us massively. And obviously hit that subscribe button for any future videos. You'll get notifications of when those go live. Until then, for me and, well, there's only one cow now, between me and the cows, have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you all in another video. See y'all later.